Good afternoon, Edwin. Thank you for taking some time out and joining us this week on Business Owner Spotlight. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your business?
Yes, well, first and foremost, Scott, thank you very much for welcoming me on today and taking the time to speak with me as well. So that's much appreciated.
My pleasure.
Um, yeah, and thank you for the work that you're doing currently as well. My name is Edwin Taylor. I from a company called the Vet Service, based in Northern Ireland. Um, so that company is focused on international veterinarian recruitment. I actually am also involved in sort of wider sort of family business, which so we have a sort of it's called letter loan hosting. So it's a wider dairy and agri feed business as well. So that sort of comes under a name of the letter loan group. So that's what I do for my sins, I suppose.
And how long have you been in the international veterinary recruitment business then? How long has that been going?
So that has been going since 2016, so
Cool.
about 8 years now. Um, Certainly grown over the time over the years. We've certainly been very lucky to have some great clients locally, and then also, um, it's grown across the world and the different markets
Sure.
as times have changed.
So like, who would be your ideal customer? Who do you work best with then?
Um, Probably like many businesses, we have to be very nimble with our customers, and I know lots of businesses where have been commenting on COVID and different things, and we certainly are very much affected by uh, political changes and visas
Sure.
and different things and lots of things to navigate. So our best customers really are on the client side are we talk about both corporate, so the large hedge fund backed corporations who may have thousands of practices, and then also very niche independent businesses. On the sort of candidate side, we predominantly work with veterinarians who have about 2 years of experience and over, who are looking to sort of relocate internationally, and it's a very niche market, and I suppose that there's a lot of sort of specific sector knowledge, and that's sort of where we try to fit.
And as you say, it's obviously a big need for it if it's grown and you've been in business now 8 years. So what would you say has been the biggest learning you've had about yourself since you got
Mm.
into business?
Um, I've learned lots of things over the times. I'm very lucky to have a good support group, obviously within my family and then also in the uh the wider team. For me personally, probably the most challenging period would have been actually very recently. Well, that was last year through 2023. Um, I had a bit of a health event, so went through a bit of a through testicular cancer for that period, so
Okay.
that certainly removed me from the business for
Hmm.
quite a substantial amount of time, and very suddenly. And I think it was one of those periods that, on reflection, that it certainly not only affected me but everybody involved, and certainly allowed me to investigate myself, I suppose, and on how I deal with scenarios, and took things forward. But we're stronger for it as such.
Yeah, and look, I appreciate you sharing that. And obviously, like a massive crisis event in your life,
Yeah.
which massively changes perspective. So you're just suddenly removed from this business.
Hmm.
What was the biggest things that you said it made you stronger? What were the things that you came back and took from that then that have strengthened the business?
Um, so I suppose in two things, one in the team, it was certainly not straightforward, if that makes sense, because of how
No.
sudden it was. The there were issues within the team, and sort of the dynamics and structure and different things, and it was they navigated that themselves. And I suppose that was good to see in that sense. For me, I probably one of the big things I was always very keen on was sort of self-awareness and humility within conversations. And I think I maybe always understood, I was aware of it, but I don't think I maybe truly understood it until that point. And certainly it gave me an ability to look into sort of my own soul, and then also to see the you know the inner workings of people, whether that's staff or our clients. And I think that has certainly developed me as a maybe a leader of that business, and
Yeah.
certainly how I interact with people going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just giving you a renewed importance on that side of things.
Yeah, I think a calmness as well. Certainly how to manage crisis events and different things, and they come thick and fast, as I'm sure everybody is aware, and sort of just sort of deflating a lot of those situations and
Yeah.
prioritizing where we need to.
You mentioned, the team and support from your family. Like, who would you say has been the biggest influence on you over the last 8 years, and why?
Yeah. Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm very very lucky to have been from obviously like a family who've been in business, and I've learned a lot. And I suppose like that often with any guy, there's lots of fatherly figures and male figures in his life, and certainly my father and my grandfather before him, both with different qualities. I would say my father was a very very hardworking man, and I suppose my grandfather certainly brought in uh, maybe more of a balance at that time. Obviously coming out post-war era and things where um, mindsets were different at that time. And I think
Yeah.
certainly trying to remember to learn from things that have gone by is quite important, and certainly have affected me that way. So,
you mentioned mindset there. Like, how important has your mindset been in the last 8 years, and what do you do to help improve it then?
um, for me, probably my mindset is probably one of the largest markers of consistency and
Mm.
constant and staying in business, never mind growing in business, I
Yeah.
suppose. I I've always been very, very aware of it, and obviously over recent times that I've explored it more as well. Um, I think certainly one of the biggest things that it's maybe come from when I was very young as well. I'm always wanting to learn. So particularly understanding one's self and one's sort of natural, sort of emotional intelligence effectively, and I think there's a lot of things that we aren't taught about that, and there's a lot of things that we can learn to build those structures around us, and that's something that certainly I've tried to put in place, currently and going forward. So.
Yeah. Excuse me. So what? Yeah, I mean, mindset is it's crucial, isn't it? What would you say then is the next 5 years plan? What does that look like for the business? And what do you think the main challenges are moving forward?
Um, I know I know lots of businesses will be commenting on employment rates and staffing and people, but I mean certainly people I think are one of the biggest challenges at the moment, and benefit and of course benefits.
Mm.
We Despite being in recruitment, obviously our internal recruitment is always very focused, and
Sure.
I think we that's certainly the biggest issue that we would focus on. The other thing is obviously financial as well, and obviously there's lots of businesses have come under pressure from interest rates and outputs and recently, and I think that's the two biggest issues that we are looking to navigate. Where we sit with that over the next 5 years is, I'm not going to sit here and say that we're going to go through this huge growth and
Mm.
double an output in the next 5 years. It would be fantastic to do that, but um, I think we're looking to sort of consolidate really where we are. We are currently trying to appoint, another team member, and we'll probably continue with that. But we're very much slowing our recruitment and training processes down to make sure that those appointed to the roles are correct and are obviously retained as well. And if that means missing extensive business, say la vie as such, and we will do that to make sure that we have the appropriate staff in place to service what we can.
Yeah, just what I'm sort of hearing there is like slow down to speed up and just make sure the
Yes,
business
yeah,
is in a good position to grow then when the time's right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So look, a question I always like to ask, and I think it gives good insight, is if you were able to go back and speak to an 18-year-old Ed, what piece of advice would you give him and why?
I mm, the the big thing the big thing with that entire question, I find where I first go to is that, certainly where I sit now as such has been a building block of everything that I've experienced since 18.
Yeah.
And I certainly, feel that I wouldn't be in the position I am now without all the bad and the good that I have went through. I suppose one of the big words that I would probably sit down and say to myself would be, I think we talked about it already, was awareness, and maybe just being more aware of what's going on around me, and taking time to absorb the brilliance of things that are happening as well. And I think that's something that I would probably put focus on.
Yeah, and again, it's just again slowing down just to take stock of
Yeah,
everything,
yeah, yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So just to finish up, last question then, if you had your chance to do, say, the last 8 years again, is there anything
Mm.
you would do differently?
So we've actually been on a very, very similar theme with our questions here, and I think certainly when I first started it, that there would have been probably more pressure than there is now, and again, probably just being more self-confident in the processes, and taking that time to enjoy the journey, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just yeah, take time out and reflect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, it
But
sounds like a good
that's
piece.
easy to say that in years down the line.
But yeah, look,
But
hopefully somebody's going to, somebody who's at the start of their journey, hopefully they can hear this and take that advice on board, so they can slow down and reflect and learn a bit more, and maybe go a bit faster, really, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, look, Ed, thank you so much for taking time out. Some great advice there, and I appreciate you being so candid with us. And looking forward to sharing this with everybody else. Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you very much for your time, Scott. I appreciate that as well.